Today's episode of Off the Timeline is titled What If Hayden Fry Took the UCLA job instead of the Iowa job? This is one of the strangest what ifs you'll ever hear, because if you look at the results, nothing really changes. UCLA football still wins in the 1980s and makes multiple Rose Bowl appearances. They're still one of the better teams out west. So on the surface, this feels like it doesn't matter, but it does. Because in 1979, Hayden Fry had a choice in this alternate universe: take over a struggling Iowa football program or go to UCLA. And in this alternate timeline, he picks UCLA. Iowa never becomes what you remember, but UCLA, they don't win more games. They just start winning a different way. But first, let's set the table. For college football in the 80s, there is a clear difference between regions. Big Ten football, control the clock, run the ball, win up front. Pac-10 football, more open, more speed, more quarterback driven. Different styles, different games. Now in real life, Hayden Fry goes to Iowa in 1979 and builds something very specific. Strong offensive lines, disciplined football, and a team that doesn't beat itself. You could turn on a game and know exactly what Iowa was. And that sets the table for the decision. And this is where we change one thing. Same year, same moment, instead of Iowa, Fry goes to UCLA. Now, this is important. UCLA didn't need fixing, they were already winning. So, this isn't about saving a program, it's about putting a certain kind of coach into a completely different environment. At Iowa, he had to build everything. At UCLA, the players are already there, the wins are already there. Now he just shapes how it's done. And this sets the table for UCLA under Fry. So what changes? Not the record, but the style. Instead of leaning on quarterback play, big play, and speed advantages, UCLA starts leaning on line play, fewer mistakes, and controlling the game. They become harder to beat. They're not flashier, they're not more exciting, but they're a lot tougher to deal with. And if you've watched enough college football, you know the type. The team that doesn't turn the ball over, doesn't give you short fields, makes you earn everything. And that's what UCLA starts to look like. Now let's set the table for why that matters. Because when a team wins like that, other coaches notice. They don't say it publicly, but they study it. They borrow from it. They adjust to it. Now think about that in the Pac-10. Instead of chasing more speed, some programs start thinking, how do we hold up against that? How do we handle that offensive line? How do we stay on the field? It doesn't flip overnight, but it starts. And once it starts, it spreads. And that sets the table for the Rose Bowl. Same results, different feel. Now let's go back to the Rose Bowl because this is where people will say, okay, but UCLA already won those games. Right. They still go 3-0 in the Rose Bowl in the 80s. That doesn't change. But how they win, that's much different. Instead of quick strikes, big plays, and breaking games open, you see long drives, field position, and fewer mistakes. And if you're watching this alternate version of UCLA, you're not thinking they've got better athletes. You're thinking they're just more sound. That sticks with people, especially coaches. Now, let's take a look at Iowa without Hayden Fry. Take Fry out of Iowa, and while they don't fall apart, they just never become the same Iowa identity that they had in the 80s. No consistent identity, no consistent offensive line pipeline. No, this is what they do feeling. Yeah, they're somewhat competitive. They're still sort of tough, but week to week, they don't have that edge. And over time, that matters a lot because the teams that last are the ones that know exactly who they are. And let's set the table for the bigger picture and zoom out. Without that Iowa identity, Michigan has fewer physical battles in the middle of their schedule. Ohio State doesn't have to deal with that same style of football every year. And out west, USC has to match a much more physical UCLA, and other teams are forced to adjust to the style. No big headlines, no dramatic changes, just different games. So did this decision change everything? No, and that's why it works. because most changes in college football don't happen all at once. They happen like this, very quietly. In 1979, in our universe, Hayden Fry built Iowa, but in this alternate timeline, he went to UCLA instead, and he proved something that doesn't show up in the standings. You don't have to win more games to change how the game is played. And if you enjoyed this alternate history college football deep dive, hit like, comment, and subscribe. And check out the end screen for more college football alternate history videos. And I will see you in the next timeline.